Hi, Penelope here, talking to you about womb uterus health. So what inspires me to make a video today, I was reading in the Bible of midwifery care. It's called Varney's Midwifery. It's really the go-to for any out-of-hospital or in-hospital practitioner for a birthing woman. It's called Varney's Midwifery. So on page 335, I saw mention of pelvic ligaments, which was really exciting to me because I did not learn about pelvic ligaments in midwifery school. Granted, Varney's Midwifery has 1,300 pages, so we missed something. But I thought that what I learned at Spirit Weaver's gathering about the ligaments in the pelvis made it really important, actually central to women's health. So when I saw that Varney's Midwifery in fact does mention it, I was really triggered and excited, so I paid extra attention. Do you know what I found? One single sentence. So first it says that ligaments generally connect bone to bone. That's what we know. But in the pelvis it says, however, in the pelvis, in addition to indicating a connection between bones, the term ligament is used to describe a variety of tissues that connect pelvic organs to bones. And then it goes on to talk about two of the ligaments that connect bone to bone. And the ligaments that connect, it says pelvic organs to bones. That's all it says, one sentence. Wow. Wow, okay, there's one sentence. My friend Masia from Women's True Healing in Redondo Beach, she quotes the Arvigo founder, and she says, the womb is the cosmic portal for our existence here on earth, okay? The womb is that organ through which life comes. And inside of a female, it's there and it's connected and stabilized inside the pelvis through ligaments. For some reason, this is not mentioned in the Bible of midwifery care, the textbook that is the go-to for all standardized exams, does not mention more than one sentence in 1,300 pages, does not mention more than one sentence about these ligaments. Wow, okay, so if you ask yourself, I don't really see the patriarchy, I don't really see how it's affecting my life, I don't see how it affects my world, here's a really good example. Prime example, sad but true. So it turns out that the womb, I want to read to you something else that's really beautiful. Okay, so this article is from meetmindful.com, and it's about the pelvic floor. So she says, would you like to have good, pain-free sex? The best sex in your life? Look to the pelvis, look to the pelvic floor. Would you like to have easier, near symptom-free periods, menstruation, no PMS? Look to the pelvic floor. Would you like to have a smooth labor with no trauma and reduced risk? Look to the pelvis. Would you like to process buried grief, trauma, shame, fear, regret? Look to the pelvis. Would you like to get rid of spine, hip, or leg, or abdominal pain that baffles doctors? Look to the pelvis. Would you like to have healthy functioning organs? Look to the pelvis. Okay, this is just giving a taste or some sense of the centrality of balancing the pelvis, okay? So these ligaments that connect the uterus to the bony structure of the pelvis hold it in place. They need to be not too tight and not too loose, right? If they're too loose, there's pelvic organ prolapse. The next mention of this pelvic floor ligament was sort of an aside, not directly, in the Varney's Midwifery. Again, on page 392, talks about pelvic organ prolapse, says that 50% of women suffer from pelvic floor prolapse. if they've had any children. And if they haven't had children and they're over the age of 35, 40% are experiencing this kind of prolapse. So these ligaments have never been cared for, never been exercised, never been toned, and they're sagging and they're weak and the uterus is out of place. So what, right? So this prolapse is one of the primary reasons why people visit their doctors. So I don't know, maybe if educating us on the importance of these ligaments would mean fewer visits to the doctor, maybe even no more need for well woman care because we're all so well, we don't need to go. All these complaints that have been bothering us are gone. Hormones are balanced, energy is good, we're creative, we're in the world, all organs are functioning properly. Can you see why it doesn't make sense for the patriarchy to give us this knowledge? Whew. Yes, it's a rabbit hole. Okay, here's another one, corerecoverypt.com. This is, she calls herself Dr. Angie. She says, one of the first things I do as a pelvic physiotherapist when helping a woman recover from pelvic or core dysfunction is center her uterus. The uterus is the center of a woman physiologically, biomechanically, and energetically. When the uterus is out of position, everything else in the pelvis and core are largely impacted and out of balance. The uterus is supported by several important ligaments from the uterus out to the bony pelvis. The uterus also has ligamentous attachments, this is more of a connective tissue, to the organs surrounding it, like the bladder, bowel, and intestines. So it is completely connected to all of our important organs in our second chakra, for those of you who are familiar with that terminology. So this magnificent central organ, if she's out of her center, leaning forward or backward or tipped to one side or the other, this can lead to myofascial imbalance in the pelvis and cause symptoms of pelvic floor dysfunction, pain, and hormonal imbalance, okay? Now, it gets really better and juicier than this because not only is she outlining the importance, now this is a doctorate in physical therapy, the importance of the uterus and toning it, but she actually has observed connections, correlations. So she says, in treating thousands of women with pelvic dysfunction, I have observed that a uterus which is leaning too far forward, anti-flexed, is often associated with urinary incontinence, issues with bladder urgency and frequency, and bladder prolapse. Okay? A uterus that is tipped backward is often associated with constipation, hemorrhoids, and bowel prolapse. A uterus that is leaning left or right is associated often with hip dysfunction, lumbopelvic alignment issues, and this leads to hip and knee or back pain due to asymmetrical pulling on the internal abdominal pelvic fascia, especially the uterosacral and cardinal ligaments. If any organ in the body, especially the uterus, is out of position, its blood flow, nerve flow, lymphatic circulation, and neurohormonal feedback will be impacted. Therefore, a malpositioned uterus can also lead to problems with the menstrual cycle, painful periods, and infertility. When assisting any woman through a rehabilitative process, it is critical to appreciate how her uterine position contributes to and impacts her overall pelvic and core health for a musculoskeletal, visceral, and energetic perspective. Okay, so this stuff is not in the textbooks. It's not there. There's one sentence in the Bible for midwives textbook. There's one sentence just saying that they exist. Nothing about them, that they're important, that we should balance them. Nothing is there. So if you have a conscientious provider, they cannot help you with this. They don't know. Unless they've gone to some extracurricular education, which I can promise you they do not have the time and bandwidth to do if they're at least most normal people. They just don't. So how's it going to happen? Where's the health going to come? Well, it's a grassroots thing. It's from you and me deciding that it's important and realizing it's important and waking up and doing something about it. Okay? So this kind of care can completely transform a life. I went to the book signing and release last spring. Kimberly Johnson wrote a really great book called The Fourth Trimester about coming through birth and recovering, coming back to full strength after birth and even stronger. And she was offering some pelvic work. She's a therapist. She does hands-on work. And it was really intriguing to me. So I looked into doing it with her. And then at the time, my husband and I were both in transition. It was right before we moved from LA. We weren't making income. And I was like, dang, $200, what am I going to do? Like, that's a lot. Shoot. So I came home and shared with my husband what I'd learned, what I wanted. And he offered, he said, well, would you let me do some of this work for you? Could I massage it? Could I love up your uterus? And I said yes. So we set aside a couple of hours a day for like 4 days in a row. And we had a very clear intention of healing and toning the ligaments and the uterus and the womb and massage. And we had very little didactic knowledge. I mean, I am a midwife, so I understand maybe a little more anatomy than others, but ultimately it was just the two of us deciding we want to bring healing and love to this space, which we did. And that really uplifted me. I felt that it has had a long-lasting impact. So I wanted to share with you that you don't necessarily have to be able to afford the most expensive therapist in order to start working toward knowing your body, knowing your womb, and toning it. Doing some really simple massage and just love it up. When these wonderful things happen, your self-confidence improves, your centeredness. I mean, this is the key to our society waking up, because women have amazing gifts. But if they're having hormone imbalance and pain and lack of connection to themselves, to others, and to their power, how's it going to happen? So once again, we see that mainstream medicine is not going to even have what we need in order to unlock our power, wake up, and be healthy. One fine day, we will not need to go to the doctor. We will completely be able to take care of our health. Maybe we're not there yet, but we can start. And this is a place to begin, is with our own womb health, with those ligaments. They're connecting the womb out to the pelvis. So what do? We just massage them very gently, very carefully, this way and that. Give them love. Sing to your uterus. Do whatever inspires you. But know that they exist, that your womb is not floating in space, that it is connected with connective tissue and ligaments to the bony structures of your body, and that this knowledge is you're just going to have to feel into it. That's the best way. Just feel into it and know it's a worthy cause. It's you waking up. I love you. You can email me if you want, jupitermoonmidwife@gmail.com. Also, I'm on Facebook at Facebook.com/Juanita Beach Refuge. And my name is Penelope, and I'm here to serve you. Namaste.